No, so the first part of what you said is partly correct. Sometimes brothers, they like to be in that little bubble of tranquility, right? Just like you probably like to sit on the porch and nice and breezy, you got your glass and you like to be at peace. Like that's one form of what I think the peace is. The other thing is that when I'm trying to do the things that I need to do, or even when I'm trying to de-stress my life, we don't want to be dealing with things that will continue to increase stress, which is why a lot of brothers seem to have adverse reaction to quote unquote combative women or women that will challenge you or that want to be put in their place. Because what that is like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing in this direction. And you keep saying, but why, but why, but why, but why? Which I understand that for some women, you're genuinely trying to get an understanding. But sometimes it gets kind of annoying to have to keep having to explain stuff when you will figure out what I'm trying to do once you follow what I'm trying to what I'm trying to get you to do. But you be like, no, you got to explain it to me first before I'm gonna be okay with doing it. And sometimes those interactions of having to keep explaining, or you getting quote unquote nagged, or you feel like when you say something, it don't just be that. It's always something extra. Like that be the stuff that brothers be like, I don't want that. I want to be able to, if I need to be in my corner, let me be in my corner. Hey, if I'm going to lead, direct, and do X, Y, Z, I don't need a whole bunch of like, well, what about this? Why don't you do it like this? Oh, you should have turned over there. Why don't you park over there? And it's like, do you want to drive? No, I don't want to drive, but I'm just giving you options and suggestions. And then if he turns around and be like, did I need suggestions? Did I ask for a suggestion? Well, I just want to listen. And
So
it'd
that
be just simple
video,
stuff like that.
so that video was accurate then, based on what you're saying. So with men, and it was actually a guy who's in the video that said that what men are really saying is that when they want peace, they want you to leave them alone so they could do whatever they want without having to answer to anybody about it.
To some degree, yes. Like
Okay.
some brothers are annoyed by their women. And it's a weird thing to say, but there's certain things that women will do. Like women like to be close. They like to they like to talk and explain and give multiple deep parts of their day and be like, hey, you'll start this story at this point, and then you brought this. And he's just like, where's the point of this story? He just wanted the start, the middle, and the end. But the way that women process information, oh, there's the context, there's the backstory, and then this thing tied into the thing that I told you last year that I told you about that girl that was crazy. Now this year, here's the culmination of that whole entire arc. And we're just like, that don't matter to us sometimes.
So you
And
just don't like it when they talk too much.
sometimes men like engaging with with their women because sometimes women do have really good stuff to say, and they're kind of like the way that they are compassionate and how they explain certain things. It's really, sometimes endearing how women can kind of story tell sometimes, right? But on the flip side, like when it's like it just seems like it just goes on and on. And then he followed the story all the way to the end. And then he's like, you mean to tell me you told me a 15-minute story that you could have told me in 2 seconds? Now he's pissed.
So I have I'm gonna try to answer answer the question that Ms. Taken asked, and I want to go back to something you said earlier. But the number one thing is peace is a break in the not having peace is breaking the routine. Women, y'all have the worst timing. So, for example, when I come home, I need 15, 20 minutes. Don't come at me with a question. Don't let I don't honestly want to hear about your day right away. Just give me 10, 15 minutes. to sit for a second, right? Oftentimes, women will try to interject in that 15-minute period. You have broken my routine. Anything that is a break in the routine because you need to get out whatever it is you got to get out is a break in the peace. So I don't necessarily know it's about the long drawn out stories because we can listen to it and we will hear it. It's just you guys will do it at the worst times, and that can be frustrating. A second thing I wanted to acknowledge real quick, and when you were talking about how you don't like nagging, what that sounded, that piece of what you were saying, what that sounded like to me was being like a mom to a husband. And I'm gonna tell you from a man's point of view, we don't want to hear that shit. We heard you the very first time you said, and I'm just using this as an example, you said take out the trash. We heard you the very first time you said it. Just because we didn't jump up and do it when you said it doesn't mean that we're not going to get to it. We have cataloged it. We've got it in our head. We've got five other things that's on top of that before we can get to taking out the trash. And let's just say those things take an hour. The next thing you're going to do within the next 15 minutes, hey, babe, I asked you to take out the trash. Hey, okay, I heard you, baby. I'll get to it. 15 minutes after that, babe, the trash is still here. I need to take it out. I got to do something with these carrot slices or whatever it is you're trying to dispose of because every time you look at the trash, you're reminded that your man hasn't taken out the trash yet. But in his mind, he had to make sure the porch was swept. He had to make sure that the lawnmower had gas in it because he might have to run to the store to get gas so he can mow the lawn the next day. Like these are the things that are on the top of our mind. You got to remember what you said doesn't necessarily come first. It comes in the order
Watching
received.
TV or playing video games or
And but that's our time for mental decompression. And that's got to be granted. Because as much as the day weighs on the woman, the day weighs on the man as well. We need that time to decompress. And if we're in the middle of a game, so if I'm in the middle of a 2K tournament that and it's online and I don't have time to take out the trash yet. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait because as soon as I take out the trash, I'm losing the basketball game. No, you gotta wait. But here's the deal: it's your job to understand that, though. And it's my job to communicate that to you. I'll get to it as soon as I finish this game, babe. Now, if I win, I'm gonna have another game right behind it. It's going. When I finish the game is when I finish the game.
see this is a key point that you made that I can agree, but you got to be able to take yourself out of the situation and look at it from both sides. So, like I said, I don't want to nag, right? And I think most women don't. But just like you explained, I asked you, and I think a reasonable amount of time for something, using your example, to take the garbage out. Do you have to get up immediately? That would be ideal, but ain't nobody tripping if you don't get up immediately and do something. But after 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, an hour goes by, 2 hours go by, the garbage didn't get taken out, and now it's Monday. And I asked you Sunday to take the garbage out, right? So now you upset because I've asked you multiple times when I shouldn't have to. And then as a man, you're like, what you just said is, I'm not a kid, right? Like you're taking that as me parenting you, right? But at the same time, from our perspective, you're acting like a kid because adults will communicate something or they'll go handle their business. And neither one of those are done based on what you're saying. You know what I mean? So that's where some of the front, and then you get mad like you're messing up my peace. But for us, that's our piece too.